It is exactly 9:44 a.m. Our final interview for the morning is with Dr. Clyde Ramalaine. He is an independent political analyst and he's joining us via StreamYard to unpack the government's response to the Zondo Commission recommendations. A very good morning to you, Dr. Clyde Ramalaine. Very nice having you on the show this morning. Appreciate your time.
Good morning to you and good morning to your listeners and viewers as well.
Okay, so, the big address to the nation regarding the Zondo Commission's recommendations. You're going to unpack this for us, and I'm kind of wondering, let me start off by asking the big question, the necessity for the time for Cyril Ramaphosa to have pondered over how he's going to move forward on the Zondo Commission's report. Was it, do you think that he lived up to the expectations of us as South Africans? Has he said everything we wanted to hear him say? And will he put his money where his mouth is?
Well, it was a very interesting weekend for essentially for one reason. Never before in history did we hear of four presidents speaking over the same weekend, and that perhaps is where I would like to locate the president's response in terms of that. You would recall the president spoke about having sent to Parliament a 67-page or 78-page document that details his responses. What the president did last night was to give us, in effect, a summary, which is the Zondo Commission summary itself. It's difficult to ascertain if the president was engaging anything seriously. Why do I say so? If the president was in any sense serious concerning the report, while there are a number of complexities to this report, the reality is he had an opportunity to go to the studio and say, before me coming here today to speak to you, I have acted upon this report and I have asked the following four ministers at least to step aside from cabinet because I can't have them on my cabinet. That would include Gwede Mantashe, that would include Zizi Kodwa, that would include David Mashlobo, as well as, of course, the Tabang Makwetla in that regard. If the president came to us having said that I've made such a decision to relieve them of their duties from my cabinet, we would have been a little bit inspired. However, he did not do any of that, which means because he needs these to take him through to the second term. The second issue, the president spoke last night and he talked about, of course, Parliament's oversight role. Then the president talks about money that Parliament must get. I'm not sure why Parliament must get more money to exercise their oversight role. I'm just not sure why there's a need to talk again with Treasury to make more funds available for that issue. The third issue is the president announced another unit that will now fall within the frame of what we would call the NPA, that would be focusing essentially on anti-corruption. The problem with this is that if the current structures are not sufficient or adequate, why are they not adequate? Why do we need another unit that will deal with the subject matter of anti-corruption? As far as I can see and read it, this is obfuscation. The president is known for his obfuscation. He loves the idea of getting thousands of investigations going, involving a number of structures and stuff, and eventually it amounts to nothing, as he had shown us yesterday. So we leave his session yesterday, which I think he could have done by virtue of just a statement. He didn't have to call us to a meeting last night to present what he presented, because he said absolutely nothing, except for patting himself on the back to say what progress they've made concerning state capture. And by the way, the president assumes that when he mentions the word state capture 1,000,000 times, then that would mean that state capture exists. We wanted the president to outline for us a clear plan, because there was no plan that he outlined last night concerning how his government will interact with the subject matter of this report.
Okay, he's known as the lame duck president because he seems to be sitting on his hands all the time. He's not, he definitely is not action orientated. And as you've rightly said, the elective conference is around the corner and he can't risk firing those cabinet ministers that you have alluded to. But having said that as well, the public statements by the three previous presidents of the country, do you truly believe that they had room to make those statements? Very especially Zuma, after. I mean, the Kandla scandal, the insurrection last July, which, suggestions are that his children were involved in the instigation of the insurrection, the July insurrection, him being involved with the Guptas and state capture. Do you truly believe that he had room to point fingers at Cyril Ramaphosa, Thabo Mbeki as well, and Gwede Mtashe? So where do we stand on this issue? Why are they fingering him at this point in time? Is that perhaps suggesting that they're sending out a strong message that he shouldn't be re-elected as the president of the party?
Well, you could look at this from a number of angles. There are those, of course, who would contend that, well, they are busy politicking because it's towards the elective conference, and I'm not discounting that. It is their right to engage in politics of that nature. But I think there are a few things that both Motlanthe, Zuma, and Mbeki independently raise that definitely puts the spotlight on the current president. The question that the issue that Motlanthe is engages the subject matter of a president potentially having something to hide. In Mbeki's reply, he engages with the subject matter of if the current panel, the parliamentary panel, arrives at a place where they do find grounds for an impeachable offense on the part of the president, then the question is, what does the ANC then do in that instance? Zuma's argument is, well, Zuma's point is, whether we like it or not, the president engaged in extramural activities, running business while occupying the office. And that for me, besides the politics, is what I think needs a response to. We can't dispute the fact that the president, through his pala activities, engaged in business while he was occupying this office. We can't dispute the fact that should a panel or should even the NPA finally charge him, that there ought to be a discussion concerning his future. And we can't discard the fact that his actions until now, as Motlanthe has pointed out, is very dodgy and very cagey, as if he's got something to hide. I think the focus should be on those three issues, and we can park aside the politics involved. Clearly, they are politicians, so therefore they would like to have a say in terms of how things are going. But what is a clarion call, or rather what is very clear, is that these three former presidents unequivocally actually said to the president, you have a case to answer. There is something that you have to answer on. You cannot continue dodging the subject matter. And that is the fundamental point, whether Cyril Ramaphosa is fit to deal or to get a second term so that he can continue leading the African National Congress, and whether this has an impact on the African National Congress in terms of its own reputation, while Ramaphosa claims to be the campaigner against corruption.
There's just so much you've said, and there's just so much talk going around the discussion last night. And the fact of the matter, the fact that these three presidents came on board to voice their opinions. I mean, really, Zuma hasn't been brought to account for any of his involvement. He handed over a broken state to the current sitting president. They have almost milked the coffers dry, him and his state capture cronies. Does he really have room to point fingers at Cyril Ramaphosa? That really begs to be answered. And, I have a tweet here from someone. Let me read it out to you. Cyril Ramaphosa saved South Africa. I shudder to think what would have happened if the criminal cabal won in 2017. Even if you're not an ANC supporter, you must support Cyril Ramaphosa. If you don't, then you are pro-corruption and pro-state capture. Will you please just hold those two questions on mind? We need to take an ad break and we'll come back for you to respond. Please stand by.
Thank you.
Is Salam Media.
Gentlemen,
For a long time, we've lived in a centralized world where institutions held the all-important data and confirmed all transactions. Those times are over. Welcome to Libertas Group,
excuse me,
a
gents.
blockchain development
Hello?
company hosting
Did
an
you guys see my
ecosystem
ball
that
there?
continually redefines the way we
My ball
do
was
business.
laying on the green.
Our blockchain is
Oh, then
decentralized,
they must have taken it.
immune to hacking or alteration, putting the power back in
Can
your
I just
hands,
go off?
no middleman, so you can focus on the growth of your business. Libertas, the simplest investment choice you'll make.
Over 33 million people have been affected by the devastating floods in Pakistan. Homes have been destroyed, crops have been swept away, and roads have been damaged. Families are mourning their loved ones while trying to survive these horrific conditions. Penny Appeal is on the ground now, delivering food, shelter, medical supplies, and water to those in need. You can help save a life by donating today. Visit our website www.pennyappeal.org.za or call 031 1100 573. Penny Appeal South Africa. Small change, big difference.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness, and every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and free zakat calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
The Prophet, peace be upon him, has said, "He is not a believer whose stomach is filled while his neighbor is hungry." Help us at Sansav to ease the hunger burdens of those in need by providing freshly prepared meals daily. You can be part of this by donating once off or monthly towards the Sansav Meals Project. Visit sansav.org.za or call us on 011 834 6046 for more information. Sansav, changing lives through development and relief.
With so many investment options today, it's only natural that you might feel a little confused which route to take. Should I buy shares or should I invest in gold bullion? Randery Jewelers now brings you the Zahab coin, an alternative to the Kruger Rand. The Zahab coin, a solid wealth protector in its purest form of 24-karat gold, is the safest way to protect your wealth. So don't just sit there and watch your paper money depreciate. Change to gold. Call Randery Jewelers now at 031 202 4701 or visit www.rjcoin.co.za, situated at 151 Essenwood Road, Musgrave, Durban. Randery Jewelers, the family name you can trust. Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
It is exactly 9:58 a.m., the final few minutes of our show this morning with Dr. Clyde Ramalaine. He is an independent political analyst. We're talking about President Ramaphosa's speech last night and people tweeting about the issues. I've left you with two questions a minute ago. Dr. Clyde, you want to respond to that? Adding to that, I also have another tweet here which says, do you think we're fools that no Gupta family is coming? It was just a stunt to shift the focus from the Pala farm game. If they were arrested, why is it taking forever to bring them back? And one last one. Pala is not public money. It is from a declared business. The extradition matter started long before the stunt pulled by Arthur Fraser. after illegally giving parole to a healthy kleptocrat. He pulls a strategic stunt. We see you. That's another tweet. So over to you.
Yes, in response to your questions, I think it is important to understand when we talk about the Jacob Zuma era, we cannot, at least the last 5 years of his era, the second term, the current president was the deputy president. I always find it fascinating how the discussion concerning how Zuma messed up the country paints Zuma as terrible, but it completely exonerates his deputy, who was active, who was leading business, who was in charge of ESCOM, and the list goes on. So as far as I'm concerned, I think it's disingenuous for people to contend that Ramaphosa was the good guy while Zuma was there, and because he's the good guy, he came to power to fix what is considered to be, at this point in time, the mess in that regard. So as far.
Okay, we just seem to have lost Dr. Clyde Ramalaine. He is an independent.
It's not a proper discussion. Are we there still?
Yes, I lost you there for a minute, but do you just want to pick up from where you left off, please?
I'm saying that it is important to understand that the State Capture Commission submitted its report. Clearly, if Jacob Zuma is implicated there, Jacob Zuma must be dealt with like everybody else at this point in time. But to then attempt to make Ramaphosa a hero when he was part of that for me is disingenuous, and I cannot buy into that kind of thinking. However, to continue to go further, if you look at what happened yesterday, the president, if the president is serious about inspiring hope, confidence in leadership, why did it take the president such a begging session, long months, for him to say something finally in Parliament? If he is so sincere, if he is so anti-corruption, why is the president not forthcoming? Why did the president act against the PP at the time he did, knowing that she had taken him on from her angle in terms of this issue? So what I'm saying is that I do not, in my mind, I do not see Ramaphosa as innocent to Zuma. So anybody who talks about Zuma in this regard should engage what Zuma did wrong, and please let Zuma face the consequences. But you cannot make two right. You can't argue that because Zuma did one, two, three, four, what Cyril is doing is right. What Cyril is doing is corrupt. And we should be able to have the conscience to say so. And that, for me, means he's not fit to lead this country. He should have, in any other country, given what transpired since this case started, or rather since the charge was laid against him, he should have stepped aside. But somehow our media is so embroiled, most of our media is so embroiled in protecting him, that he ends up being seen as a hero in this regard. We don't have a leader.
We have to accept the fact that he inherited a very broke system. There was so much corruption, so much of looting, so much of drama going on that when he when he took over the running of the country, the sabotage continued, and it continues till this day to break to truly grind the country to its knees. And do you not see that as a deliberate attempt at getting him out of the system and getting all of Zuma's old cronies and other corrupt politicians back into power? The one thing we can't do is point a finger at Cyril Ramaphosa of corruption, but I stand corrected. Maybe I'm wrong. Apart from Pala, what else can we point a finger at him for?
We can talk about the Glencore issue. We can definitely talk about the Glencore issue. In this country, we don't want to talk about certain issues because it doesn't work for our agenda. The fact of the matter is that to argue the point that he came to power and was handed a broken system, he was part of the broken system. That is the point I'm trying to raise. So you cannot exonerate him or anyone else that was part of the cabinet And I think it is disingenuous to continue a discussion that keeps on trying to say he inherited this. He was intrinsically part of this. And we have to appreciate the fact that he is and remains a part of that history that defines Jacob Zuma in presidency, at least for the 5 years that he was there. And then, by the way, Afrobarometer is on record to have said that under his leadership, under Ramaphosa's leadership, that corruption increased. Now, if you want to contend this corruption increased because of the people that are left behind in the system, that is debatable. The fact of the matter is, if corruption took place under Jacob Zuma, it must be laid in front of him. If corruption takes place under Cyril Ramaphosa, it must be laid in front of his door. You can't claim the victories and don't claim the warts.
How do we move forward then? And what do you want to see coming out of the elective conference? We have deep division within the ANC. We know the rapid transformation group guys are wanting to get their hands. They want to get involved. They want to start working, hopefully, to the betterment of the country. We don't know if it will be for the betterment of the country, but do you believe that within the ANC and other political parties, we have people who are clearly wanting to serve the people, to serve the country, and not line their pockets? Do people see being in council and in politics a huge money-making business or system that you do no work and you get rewarded, or you can get your money on get your hands on as much money as you can?
I think every political party in this country, every one of them, have people in there that are serious about making this country go forward. Equally so, every political party in this country has corrupt people inside of it. And it's a matter of time when we ever manifest in that regard. I still believe that the African National Congress do preside and currently consist of members that are genuinely trying to do something good for this country. That's my perception and my conviction in that regard. Concerning the work to be done, I think to move our country forward will take more than government. One of the issues I think that we are leaving in that is left in abeyance is the subject matter of the true role of civil society. We somehow have absconded our agency in trusting politicians and political parties to direct our future. And I think that is completely wrong. Now, I'm not talking about a civil society which is factionalized by itself, who every day will talk about, for example, Zuma, but is totally quiet on the land issue. It's totally quiet on transformation issues of the economy. Those are the issues that I'm talking about. So we do need civil society to play a role in this regard. And we cannot any longer outsource our agency to a political party or political parties or those structures in that regard.
We're going to have to end it there, and we're hoping and praying that we do see a way forward. And as per your remark regarding, the protection of Cyril Ramaphosa, those were actually tweets that I have read out. We have a whole host of tweets that have come through, and I was just sharing the tweets with you to indicate that there are two views to every situation. We may or may not agree with Cyril Ramaphosa being in power and believe that he's not accountable or he's part of the rot. But I was just trying to indicate how people are viewing the situation going forward. Is there hope? Is there hope going forward for us as a country?
I'm a prisoner of hope. It is for that particular reason that many of us, in different epochs of time, joined the liberation struggle, because we believe fundamentally that we operate from the subject of hope. So hope is what keeps us going at this point in time. And I would not want to stand here and declare our nation hopeless, because that for me would be, in my opinion, wicked in that regard. I think there's more than hope. We just need to get ourselves together and keep ourselves accountable to deliver on what we had promised to ourselves. And I think that it can be done. We should no longer depend on politicians, regardless of what party they are, to lead us and direct our dream of finding our destiny. It should be owned by us. We should be playing an active part in that regard. And daily, we should be responsible and actively involved in that regard.
Dr. Clyde Ramalaine, I promise you this is the final question. I know that you're involved with the game of golf there, and you have taken enough time off to talk with us. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you do play a good game after all of that. But how do we move forward as a country, very especially since we're seeing what coalitions don't seem to be working in local government structures? Do you believe they have a room going forward? People are predicting that the ANC will not win the majority. The only way they can continue ruling the country is if they form coalitions in the next election. Your thoughts?
Well, coalitions for us is a new practice. If you would look at the Scandinavian countries, the Nordic countries, you would see that it's a standard practice for them. They have tried and tested it and shown that it works in their regard. Concerning the subject matter of coalitions in our setting, I think there's a number of issues that one must look at. Number one, you have to look at the interest of the different parties and then of course you have to look at the interest of the individual politicians in that regard. And so because it's a new territory for us, we are going to struggle with coalitions. It'll always present, in my view, a very unstable reality. Now, on the other hand, I would want to contend that when we do have an outcome in an election for a particular area that doesn't afford anyone to lead, it is the will of the people that prevails. So the people are saying effectively that we don't trust any of you to lead. We think you all must be a part of this. And so therefore coalitions is our reality, whether we like it or not. Concerning the ANC's future, how the ANC will do and perform, at this point in time, I think that the ANC has been on a decline, particularly so for its general election in 2019. We've seen again the same in 2021. And we've seen in the time of Zuma's era, some form of decline, although he peaked still at 62%. The reality is that the ANC is in for a serious shakeup as far as I can see it. I also think that the ANC will struggle to get to the 50%. That's also my view, given the history of the last two elections, that being the municipal one that took place last year, November, and of course the one that transpired in 2019.
Dr. Clyde Ramalaine, independent political analyst, thank you indeed for your insights on this matter, and do enjoy your golf game for the morning. Thank you for your time. Go well.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you indeed. It is 11 after 10 o'clock, and inshallah, next up, we're going to take a listen to the recitation of Juz 27 by Yasin Al-Dosari. A big thank you to our production team. Thank you indeed for your company on the show this morning. Till tomorrow at the same time, as always, Assalamu alaikum and Khuda Hafiz from me, Julie Ali.